The twin suns of Alaris set low on the horizon, casting golden light across the crystalline towers of the royal city of Caelendar. It should have been a day of celebration. Princess Vaelira of House Zenthari had come of age, the most sacred rite among the Alari, marking her readiness to choose a bondmate and ascend to her full power as heir. But instead of festive music and joyful toasts, the grand hall echoed with whispers and sidelong glances. Vaelira stood at the edge of the ceremonial platform, cloaked in silver robes, her white hair falling like moonlight over her shoulders, violet eyes lowered, not in humility but shame. No one had stepped forward. No one had offered their hand. Not a single suitor, noble or common, warrior or mage, wanted the princess. Not the cursed one. She wasn't born like the others. The Alari were revered for their flawless beauty and mental link, the gift of empathy, a sacred psychic connection that bound their people together. But Vaelira's mind was silent. She could not speak across the mind stream. She had been born void-touched, defective, unworthy. She was royalty by blood, yes, but in the eyes of her people, she was an empty chalice. The High Oracle ended the ceremony with a sorrowful bow. Let the record show, no claim was made. The rite is broken. Gasps filled the chamber. Vaelira kept her chin raised, but her heart twisted. She had known rejection, even from her own mother, Queen Salyra, but this was public exile in everything but name. As she turned to leave, a voice rang out, low, foreign, and defiant. I claim her. The hall fell silent. From the back of the crowd, a figure emerged. Tall, broad-shouldered, clad in simple travel leathers and dust from the desert. Human. He climbed the platform steps without hesitation. State your name, the oracle demanded. I am Cael Thorn of Earth. Traveler, diplomat, and warrior by necessity. His voice was steady. I claim Princess Vaelira of Zenthari. Queen Salyra rose from her throne, her voice thunderous. You mock our rites, human. This is a sacred ceremony, not a spectacle. I understand that, Cael replied calmly, facing her. But your law allows any soul, regardless of race, to step forward. Or is that only when it's convenient? The queen's lip curled. She is broken. She has no voice, no connection. I don't need her to be like you, Cael said, turning to Vaelira. I want her to be exactly who she is. Vaelira's breath caught. No one had ever said that to her. The oracle hesitated, then, with ancient weight in his words, said, The rite has been fulfilled. And so, the unwanted princess was claimed, by a man from another world. Two strangers bound by choice. The days that followed were quiet. Ilari tradition dictated that all newly claimed pairs spend a cycle in seclusion to understand their bond. Vaelira led Cael through the azure gardens behind the palace, saying little. She wasn't sure how to act around this human. It was strange, blunt, warm, real. You don't pity me? She asked one evening as they sat beside a glowing moon lake. No, Cael said. I've seen real suffering. Orphans starving, war-torn villages, worlds torn apart by greed. You're not broken, Vaelira. You're just treated like you are. She studied him, unsure how to respond. The Ilari avoided emotions. They were shared silently, wrapped in nuance. But Cael had no gift. He spoke with his voice, wore his heart plainly. He was unlike anyone she had ever known. And that scared her more than rejection ever had. Whispers and war. News of the human's claim spread like wildfire. Across Caelendar, nobles whispered that Cael had bewitched the princess, that he was after the throne, that this was a political maneuver from Earth. Cael didn't care. He spent his days with Vaelira, showing her things she'd never known. Music from his home world, stories by firelight, laughter that didn't require psychic links. Slowly, her walls began to fall. But not everyone welcomed the change. One night, a shadow slipped into Cale's chambers, a blade glinting in the dark. Cale awoke just in time, grabbing the assassin's wrist and throwing him into the wall. Palace guards arrived, but the message was clear. Someone wanted the human gone. Vaelira summoned them both the next morning. "Your presence disrupts order," she hissed. "The nobles are divided. The High Council fears war." "Then they're cowards," Cale snapped. "Afraid of a woman who doesn't fit their mold. Afraid of change." Vaelira turned to Vaelira. "Break the bond. I'll give you a new right. We'll pretend this never happened." But Vaelira stood tall, her voice clear. "I won't abandon the only person who ever truly saw me." The queen's eyes narrowed. "Then you are no longer my daughter." Exile and escape. Banished. Just like that. Stripped of titles, Vaelira and Cale left the capital under cover of night. The queen had made it clear, if they stayed, their lives would be at risk. They traveled south to the wildlands, beyond the reach of royal law. Villages whispered of the exiled princess and the human who defied a crown. They found refuge in a valley surrounded by crystal cliffs. There Cale built a small home with his hands. Vaelira learned to cook, to farm, to laugh freely. Their love grew in soil untouched by judgment. But fate, as always, had other plans. The firestorm. A decade-old enemy of the Ilari returned. The Vraxis horde, insectoid warlords with minds like razors and appetites for domination. They had waited for weakness. With the princess cast out and internal divisions rising, the Ilari defenses faltered. Caelendar burned. Desperate, a royal envoy arrived at the valley. An old friend of Vaelira's, General Lyren, knelt before her. "The queen lies wounded. The capital is falling. The mind stream is shattered. We need you." Vaelira stared at him. "You need the broken one now." Lyren nodded, shame in his eyes. "The people will follow you. You're the last beacon." He turned to Cale. He gave a quiet nod. "You don't need to prove anything. But if you want to fight, I'll be by your side." She squeezed his hand. "Let's go home." The Battle of the Broken. They arrived to smoke and rubble. The palace lay in ruin. The queen, pale and dying, whispered, "Forgive me." Vaelira did not respond. She wasn't there for forgiveness. She was there to lead. Cale rallied warriors, human mercenaries, village defenders, even outcast Ilari. Vaelira, though giftless, stood before them with clarity. "I cannot speak into your minds," she said, "but I can speak to your hearts. We've been blind, worshipping perfection while discarding the real strength. Choice. Choose to stand. Choose to fight. Will you?" They roared in unison. The battle lasted 3 days. Cale fought at her side, blade flashing, fearless. Vaelira led with strategy, courage, and clarity. Her mind did not need to speak. Her presence did. On the final day, as the Vraxis queen closed in, Cale took a fatal blow meant for Vaelira. He collapsed, blood soaking the stones. "No!" she screamed, and something inside her shattered. But not in pain, in awakening. The void inside her bloomed with light. Not empathy. Not telepathy. Power. A wave of brilliant energy erupted from her, vaporizing the enemy queen and sending the Vraxis fleeing in terror. The war was won. A queen like no other. Cale survived. Barely. But when he awoke days later in a healer's tent, Vaelira sat beside him, a crown on her brow. "I didn't need a throne," she whispered, But they need a queen who understands what it means to be unwanted.